Welcome back. I'm playing Warhammer 40,000 Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Last time we killed Spire, and now we're moving our forces around to hopefully consolidate the rest of Acadian sector. It looks like there's about 5 locations left. So we will get started, because I do think there was a couple of attacks. I think there's still 3 turns out though, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay, so both 3 turns out, which is good for us because then I can just move on out. Whale? Let's come up here, take this. Should be able to get at least 3 locations per turn. Which means it should take me 2 turns to beat every place. keep doing that. I mean, there's no point to save resources at this point in the game. I suppose I should just kill these guys before he reinforces them further. And if I take this, I can start getting the planetoid for restoring guys when they inevitably die. Wait, how can I have 3 leaders? 4 leaders? What the hell's going on here? was my own fault by coming to war with damaged units. Oh. I was actually hoping it wasn't going to be a victory point situation. I guess that one would be a decent spot. Like that all these guys show up as my fleet.
You have seized a strategic area. You have seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area. Has seized a strategic area. The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas. The enemy has seized a strategic area. You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
here. Oh shit, I wasn't paying attention.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points. You have accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Only 50%, huh?
Close to victory by strategic points. Has accumulated 50% of strategic points.
You just kamikazed me. That's pretty good. So we gotta take out 2 places and then the final. I feel like I get attacked a lot more on this campaign than I do the other ones at the value. says it's got 3, but it won't let me do it. Very strange. Oh, because it's not connected? I wonder if that's how that works. Quite the army. out. Let's see. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Alright, so these guys are actually stronger since they're leveled. So, let's move you over here. Now, am I going to be able to beat the final boss with just 2 navies? Is the question. I think I should be able to at this rate.
You have seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area. You have seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Oh man. These guys are moving out like crazy.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas. The enemy has seized a strategic area. The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas. The enemy has seized a strategic area. The enemy has seized a strategic area. Strategic points. The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Oh, we're pretty even on the points, huh? Surprised by that.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points. The enemy has accumulated 50% of strategic points. You have accumulated 75% of strategic points. Has accumulated 75% of strategic points. You are close to victory by strategic points.
Well, I never was able to capture any places using that ability. Hopefully it'll be all Space Marines, and I can just hide in a nice little cloud and kill them all.
Cadia, ever the fulcrum upon which mankind's fate turns. Is the fleet prepared?
All commands confirm.
We'll use the asteroid fields to our advantage. Even reduced to its bones, Cadia still has bite.
Indeed, my lord.
Alright, so we're going to try to run to those asteroids fields right away.
Give the order to engage.
Acknowledged. My lord, radiation from Cadia's death throes is sure to reduce our detection range.
Contact the fleet. Warn them to remain alert. We cannot afford surprises.
Yeah, radiation waves blocks your scanner, I get it. Not my first rodeo.
Multiple reports of assistance from across the fleet.
Lieutenant, engines to full. I want to hear her roar.
Giving way. We have to withdraw.
10,000 years of waiting now ended in failure. This cannot be. Give the order.
Yes, my lord. My lord, we must retreat.
There is no retreat!
Reading additional Tyranid biovessel.
Oh,
Closing fast.
Then we shall answer, Lieutenant. All batteries, fire at will!
he couldn't even.
I beg your forgiveness, Father. I have failed you.
The Macrack's honor has been destroyed. The Lord Commander is lost.
And so, the 13th Black Crusade ended neither in victory for the Imperium or for Chaos, but with the endless hunger of High Fleet Leviathan. Admiral Spire's fleet, scattered and leaderless, was swiftly consumed. And then there was silence for a time. The galaxy held its breath, hoping that the Leviathan's hunger was at last sated. It did so in vain.
Boy, that's not an obnoxious thing.
We're reading signatures exiting Cadian space.
Impossible! Nothing survived! Emperor's flight, no!
The astroport is convulsing. We can't get a hymnal to Terra.
Blessed Emperor, get us out of here, all speed! They must be warned. Someone must!
The radiation sound for throughout the ending cinematic, great. Hopefully it stops for going through the credits here. There we go. Whew. Alright, well that's the Tyranid campaign. Definitely played much differently than the other ones. That's one thing I do like about this game, is that each faction definitely has a different feel to it. I think early on it's a little more difficult, but you kind of have to make a decision early on how you want to play. If you really want to use the Devourers earlier on, I think you need to get the Lightning Strike, and then you need to focus on getting the increased movement, because one of the things I was really struggling with is, I'd finally get my Devourers to be in melee range to start eating the ships, but then the enemy ships could go faster than my ships, and I just couldn't keep up, and you just can't keep ramming them. You have to be directly head-on. There can't be any angle, or else your ships will suffer ramming damage, which is just, I found very frustrating. I wish they had a little more of a buff on there, so they would have less of an angle of attack to get the damage relegated to them, because that was one of the issues that the AI actually had when they were fighting me, is they just kept ramming my ships with the Devourers, and I really had to suffer damage on them because I just had to turn a little bit, and then they would end up suffering damage, quite a bit of damage, sometimes up to 25% of their health bar on that. So that caused issues. So because I did not focus on getting the speed early on, pretty much I suffered a bunch of casualties, but I recommend you just spend the first couple of turns acquiring those locations, so then you have points to spend, and then you can rapidly expand from there. And then once you end up getting to, I think, Renown level 3 or 4, it unlocks the Pyro Artillery, and then just using the Razorbacks can carry you through most of the game until you end up getting the Hive ships, in which case there's a huge damage spike when you start getting the Bio Hive ships. If you focus on getting those guys leveled up, then it just becomes enormously in your favor, especially once you get the 50% attack speed. Once you hide in clouds, just makes them incredible, so then you can't be seen, and the AI will come to you, and then you can just smash them. It'll just devastate their morale, set them on fire, so it becomes extremely easy to win the campaign doing it that way. Early on, before your units get strong, you probably want to really focus on doing the victory points. If you're okay waiting, then you try to save up your requisition to build up the 10 requisition buildings. Otherwise, if you suffer a lot of damage, you can put up the hive brood mind or whatever it's called, and that'll heal everything up to full health in one turn. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to put one of those in each sector as you're making your way through if you're suffering really heavy casualties, because the big thing is you don't want to keep purchasing ships and then having them die, because you'll rapidly run out of resources, especially with how much turnover of units there are with the Tyranids. The escort fleet is definitely helpful early on, unless you end up getting the spore cloud. Once you get the spore cloud detection ability, or you could just bypass that early on and get the echo spore, which is very helpful. And then obviously the void jump for the Tyranids is very helpful, given that it's only a couple seconds long compared to 15 seconds or something when you're using it with the other races. I just found that that was too long of a time, and I'd frequently end up getting canceled out of my warp jumps when I would do that, so I just never effectively learned how to use them. But for this one, I definitely found it to be very helpful. Using your carriers to end up using your fighters to go out and detect units when you were hiding in the cloud, because they'd be slightly outrange you with their detectors, because the AI always has a significant escort fleets to be able to visualize you. So once you're able to focus fire those down, then they have to move into your detection range, and then you can just get all those bonuses. What else can I think for helpful things? Just be real careful on how you spend your resources. If you're really struggling and you don't have a lot of forces early on, then you could use the abilities to generate, what would it be? Units, troops behind enemy lines, and if you actually wait 10 or 12 turns, whatever it is, you can actually capture a location without actually having to fight a battle there. So if you know early on when they unlock multiple places, then you could potentially spend some points, because it's only like 90 each, and if you hit them up in each territory, that actually can debuff everything, because it's like a cumulative effect. So that was one thing I didn't quite appreciate until later on in the campaign. So had I known that, I think I would have used that on more sectors to just weaken down the bravery to get them to run even faster. If you're going with the melee army, then using like that drool would probably be an excellent idea, because it does cause a lot of damage to the enemy ships if you're right behind them and you have to stay within that slow cone. I thought I really liked that anchor ability where it shoots out that spike thing out of the mouth, but really a couple hundred damage is not worth it in the long run, unless, like I said, you're going to use a devourer where you're going to be there and you can just smack them and then keep turning them and then allow multiple units to get on there and start trying to eat the ships. I suppose you could use it as a tactic like that, but for a ranged army like what I was using, it was not an effective use of my units. I don't know what else I can really have to say for this one. I felt it was a little redundant with the Tyranids, because I kind of just found a solution that worked really well for me, and then I just kept doing it. So I'm glad the campaign came to an end, because like I said, it did feel a little redundant by the end of it. But if I had a little more resources and, you know, the units really scaled more, I probably would have liked to play around with some different units, you know, using the if you're really into boarding actions, you could have used those things with the little sucker things that get put out there. I didn't quite understand how that worked when I was playing as the other factions against the Tyranids. Had I known that that was like putting troops on my ship for several seconds and it can get disconnected once I get out of there, I think I would have tried to run away with some of my units to break that connection. But these guys definitely are very, very strong with the boarding, so you definitely get like this super high damage units from range that then have really strong borders. So Tyranids are good at pretty much everything across the board, especially once you get the higher tier units. So got to do a little bit of everything there. So thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you are, please give my channel a like and subscribe to encourage me to post more content for you. Have a great day.